This afternoon, we have a program of chamber music to present for you this afternoon. And I just want to say how grateful I am to Ajahn Anutai for giving me space to present this concert also here. Actually, we're presenting this concert at Nielsen Hayes Library this coming Sunday, which is a lovely venue for our international guests. If you haven't visited yet, I strongly encourage you to visit Nielsen Hayes Library. We'll be performing our full program there this Sunday at 7 p.m. Today, we'll be presenting selections from our program. So we have two pieces for you. We will be playing the first and second movement from Beethoven's String Quartet, Opus 59, number 2, and the third and fourth movement of Schumann's Piano Quintet in E-flat major. And before we start, I just want to speak a little bit about chamber music and how I think it's actually been something that's survived through many periods of difficulty throughout the years and throughout history. And I think all of us, the topic of our symposium this year, we've been talking about celebrating the now. And the now that we're in, we've just come out of a difficult period of the pandemic and many hardships for everyone, musicians included, with cancellations of concerts and events and not being able to play together. So the fact that we're all here today and that you can join us here for a live concert, I think, is something very meaningful and not to be taken for granted. I think that's something that we've learned from the pandemic. And historically, actually, chamber music has always survived after periods of struggle and hardship. So not only in our day, but also earlier this year, I did research with some of my colleagues on the Biedermeier era, which was the early 19th century in Central Europe, in Vienna, Austria. And this time had also been the aftermath of a very difficult period in Europe following the Napoleonic Wars. And that was a time when more and more people had to stay home because the government was becoming very strict with censorship, and it was a very politically unstable time. So people were seeking refuge at home and seeking for entertainment at home. So the first thing that they turned to was music. And the Biedermeier era was the rise of the amateur musician because many, many people were learning music at that time and making music at home, which I think is wonderful and beautiful. But chamber music was kind of the pathway that made things going and carried people through the difficult times. And not only then, but also in the following century, the early 20th century, there were the world wars, of course. But if we think about composers like Igor Stravinsky, who made reductions of his large-scale ballets and operas for chamber ensemble, so that theatrical works could still be performed during a time of economic hardship and crisis. I think chamber music has so much potential to be very flexible and versatile, be suited to many different types of styles, and even during difficult economic times of financial hardship, chamber music can still keep things going. And not only that, though, I think chamber music has a very unique feature that it's also a place where composers and creators are able to innovate. And the two pieces that we're about to present for you today, I think, are very good examples of this. So Beethoven's Razumovsky quartets are his middle period quartets. And his middle period quartets are very different from his early period quartets, which were the Opus 18. His Opus 18 quartets were more in the shadow of Haydn and Mozart. But by the time we get to Opus 59, which is this cycle that we're about to play, the second quartet of, Beethoven was able to really flex his muscles as a composer. He was really showing what he was capable of as a composer. He was fully formed by this time, and he was really stretching his wings in his compositions. So I think you'll be able to hear that in this piece, that there's this kind of spirit of inventiveness and innovation, that the music is just really bursting at the seams with this kind of energy, this forward-thinking energy. So I think the Razumovsky quartets are a very interesting example, even if the style is quite outdated, we might say. It's something familiar to us. But actually, this spirit that it contains is something very new and something always very fresh and very relevant. And in the same way, Schumann's Piano Quintet was also a groundbreaking piece of its time because it was the first of its kind. The piano quintet did not exist before Schumann wrote this piece. The earlier prototypes were just reductions of Mozart piano concertos that sometimes people would perform with string quartet. But the piano quintet as an actual genre started with Schumann. And it was so popular and successful that subsequent composers such as Brahms, Dvorak, César Franck, Dmitri Shostakovich, they also wrote their own piano quintets. And these are all wonderful works of chamber music. And I think many performers would agree with me. The piano quintet repertoire is some of the most satisfying to play. It's quite special because it combines the warmth of the strings with the power of the piano. So it's very, very enjoyable to play. And so I think both pieces kind of show how chamber music can be innovative, and it carries this spirit even to this day. And I just want to speak a little bit about the title of the concert, of our concert, which is To Clara and the Count. And so for our title, we wanted to feature not just the pieces and their composers, but also the people that the pieces were written for, the dedicatees of these pieces. So To Clara, that's Robert Schumann, wrote his piano quintet for his wife, Clara Schumann. Clara Schumann was a very talented and virtuosic performer of her day. In fact, she was more famous than Robert, her husband. She was very well known as a performer. So this piano quintet is Robert's gift to his wife to showcase her artistry and ability on the piano. So you will hear that the piano is very prominent in this piece because it's Robert's special gift to his wife. And Beethoven's Razumovsky quartets were written for Count Razumovsky, who was the Russian ambassador in Vienna at the time. And Razumovsky commissioned these pieces with the request that Beethoven include some Russian folk music in the pieces. So there's this interesting collaboration of Beethoven and Russian folk music, a coming together of very different styles, different kinds of music. So I think it's just interesting to note that sometimes the people around us affect and influence the music that we make. We have some very interesting sounds here today, part of the ambience. But yeah, I think something that we've come to expect from the symposium is that there's always something unexpected. So we love this kind of thing. Speaking about the dedications again, I think it's a good reminder for us that music is always something that's meant to be given and shared. And so even with our performance today, we just hope that we can just enjoy being in this room together and have a live concert and just enjoy music together and how special that is and how we should not take this for granted. But here we have it again. Yeah, okay. And then, I don't want to speak too long. Just before I close, I would love to introduce Ajahn Omporn, because actually the reason that we have this group is because Ajahn Om has a wonderful chamber music series here in Bangkok. So this is actually her project that she's been initiating. So we're just very thankful to her for allowing us to have this opportunity to play this music. And I would love to invite her to say a few words about what inspired her to start this series and how she thinks that it's having an impact in Bangkok's music scene today. So.
Actually, the story of Om and Friends is very simple. I just love chamber music. I was a professional musician before, and when I have had my daughter, I stopped playing for a few years, and after that I really missed playing music. So I invited my musician friends to my place, and we would read some chamber music together, and then we have nice dinner and wine. So we have been doing that, and then I think maybe we should share our music to the wider audience. Then I just booked the hall, and Miti helped me make the poster, and I just advertise wherever I go and on my Facebook page. It's been doing quite well. This is our 11th program so far. So I'm very glad that I can bring the music from my living room to you guys. And I hope you will enjoy listening to us. If you like what you hear today, you can subscribe to my Facebook page called and Friends, and also my Instagram called and Friends Chamber Music. I would like to thank all my friends, my musician friends who has been supporting me, because without you guys, I couldn't continue my passion of music and to do what I love. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. And I really feel that this series is a real snapshot of the Bangkok music scene. So I'm just very glad that we can be here today. And thank you to Ajahn Anatai for inviting us and giving us this space to play. I just want to introduce the other musicians as well. So we have Ajahn Noa on the cello. Ajahn Miti on viola. And on the piano later, Dr. Akkra will be joining us. All right, so we'll get started now with the first two movements of Beethoven's Opus 59, number 2. Thank you.